Welcome to Blondes and Booze Paranormal Podcast. I am one of your lovely hosts, Erin, and this is...
I'm Krista.
And wait, I gotta know like this direction. Okay.
I'm Brandy.
That's Brandy. Thank you guys for joining us tonight. It's going to be a very fun, eventful evening, and I'm going to have Krista go ahead and introduce our people that we have tonight.
Yeah, we have. We'll start with your son, Colin. We'll let Colin talk a little bit about himself. And Brandy's daughter is Abby. Wave hi, Abby. And she has some abilities as well. And then my daughter Brittany is up there in the corner. She's grown, but she's dealt with things most of her life as well. And she's had a freak like me for a mom, so she can elaborate a little bit. But tonight's all about the kids, about what they went through and growing their abilities, whether they want to use it to help others or just know how to protect themselves.
Exactly. And that's why we were lucky enough to be able to have also with us kind of last minute, which is amazing. Cool.
I know. Well,
wait.
You want to introduce him? Because I was kind of, he's our man of fame tonight.
He is.
Michael Christopher. We've been wanting to get him on the show for a long time. And he's
what a perfect show for him to come on to, really. Right. Just because I know him, worked with him a little bit and stuff, I think that this is a perfect show for him because he's all about helping people and families and kids and stuff. So I think this is a perfect avenue for him to just pop in on.
Yeah. So we definitely appreciate you coming in on this tonight. And then we chatted a little bit backstage, and in the future, he said he'd come on and do some live readings with Erin, and I know Jessica Potter said she'd be back to do some too. So, maybe we can get the three of you tag teaming or something. Me and Brandy will just take the background or something.
No, absolutely. That would be great. And thanks.
We'll play some cards, just to hang out.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. I'm going to start off by, Michael, why don't you tell everybody who you are and what you do, if you don't mind.
No, I mentioned earlier, I'm terrible at self-promotion and talking about myself, so I'll try to make some sense. But yes, my name's Michael. So I've been a medium. Well, I should say I've known about my abilities for, let's see here, 7-8 years now. I was 45 when it finally made sense. Before that, I was really clueless. I wasn't aware I had abilities. And my story is kind of long and drawn out of what brought me to that. But since the moment I really found out or discovered, I kind of just went full into it. Jumped right in and just started learning everything I could. And I don't know, things just grew for me out of nowhere. I mean, I don't do promotions. I just kind of started doing my work, and people just started, it's the word of mouth that really put me out there. I'm so grateful for that. But yeah, so I'm kind of a newbie in a way, I guess.
Got to start sometime.
Yeah.
That's right.
I mean, I was military for 20 years, so that it's just a whole weird story of what brought me to here.
where you're at. I get it.
We all have a weird road on how we get here. I think we all do. We all have a different path, and it brings us here. And whatever time frame that's at is when it's supposed to be. And I think when you say newbie, it's that newness of being out in public about it, and having being questioned and being searched out almost. That gets very it's oh my gosh, people want to talk to me about this.
Right.
Usually I'm afraid I'm going to accidentally spill the beans and tell somebody I do this. Now people want to talk to me about it.
Right.
It's that kind of newness that you're oh my gosh, okay.
Right. Exactly. And then real quick, and I'll post it throughout the evening, Michael's website. And then he also has a Facebook group that we'd all appreciate if you guys go and join that as well. And I will post them off and on throughout the show so everybody can see them.
Awesome.
Thank you.
So yeah, I think, well, here, somebody has a comment here. Nancy says, what a great topic for a show. Thanks for putting it together. Teens are very open to psychic awareness. Younger than that, they are very special people. And
They are.
you're absolutely right, Nancy. Yep.
I have a huge passion with making sure that kids understand themselves. It doesn't necessarily mean that they need to go and give readings. It just is a way of understanding. Our world is so chaotic. And with our world being so chaotic, I think it opens up children even more.
Right. Absolutely.
And, I think that we need to educate them. And I think it helps them be who they are, kind of what we were talking about earlier. Be who they are, know who they are. So I'm glad to do this topic. I'd like to continue to do this topic for people. So, keep the questions coming. These kids are happy to answer the best that they can, whether that's for information for you or for your kids or your grandkids or your friends' kids, teenagers, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It all is relative.
Right. Right. You know what? Let's start with Brandy and Abby. Why don't Brandy and Abby, you guys kind of both elaborate on what what's been going on with Abby and what she sees and
Well, it started when she was actually very young. Seeing things in a corner, waving hi to people that weren't there, just talking to the air, it seemed like. Of course, with me growing up, my family was into the paranormal, my mom's side. So nothing was hidden from me. It wasn't, it was all good. So
Right.
I knew exactly what I was going through when I was going through it when I was young. Now, Abby, on the other hand, I was like, what are you doing? Because this is something that I really didn't talk to anybody when I was real little, I guess. I would see them, but I wouldn't talk to them. And she was talking. I was like, okay. One time I was in my dining room, which is away from my kitchen, and she was in a downstairs living room where you could see the kitchen. And she turned around and she's like, Mom, were you in the kitchen? I said, no, I wasn't in the kitchen because I was still sitting at the dining room table and haven't moved. She goes, I just saw someone in the kitchen and I thought it was you. I said, oh, no, that was not me.
Right.
But now she's experiencing a few more things as she's getting more developed in her abilities. Why don't you tell them about how you feel when you sense that something's around you? Like, are you told me you feel like, how would
Anxious?
Anxious, yes, like anxious, that they're there. She also is one of those that feels emotions. Like she'll get upset at the drop of a hat and not know why. I was like,
And that's really good to point out to that, because I think that kids get that at school. And this is another reason why I like doing these things, is because I think that it's good for them to learn how to shield themselves, protect themselves.
Right.
Because I think at school there's a lot of emotions going on, and so they're absorbing that. When kids are sensitive to these things, they're absorbing those things. So Abby, what you're feeling is completely normal in a sense.
It's normal for us,
right? And it's normal for Colin, it's normal for really cool kids like you, and a lot of other kids too. I mean,
Well, now I know who this message is for. Like I said earlier before we were talking, sorry to just jump in.
You're good. Anytime.
So
Anytime,
for Abby, I was getting messages before we even got in here, and I was like, who are these for? Well, Colin, you already got yours. Now I know where this one goes, and it's for Abby. So earlier I was getting this feeling like I had to talk to somebody about getting to know their space and their energy, like really familiar of what, like when you sit. I'm going to slow down because when I start channeling, I just blah, blah, blah. So I'll try to slow it down. But I think this exercise for you, Abby, will be really helpful. And all it is like taking time. You can do it once per day or whenever you feel like it. But literally just sit in a chair, close your eyes. Don't try to connect anything, and just kind of like get familiar with what your energy feels like when nothing's around. Don't invite anything in. Just get to know it, because I used to have that same problem where I would pick up other people's emotions and not realize it. But
Mhm.
that exercise teaches you to really, when you start feeling, off, you get to know, you'll know that, wait a minute, all right, I got to sit with this for a second. Okay, this isn't me. This is coming from something else. And then there's tools to work with that, to just, all right, just tell them, back off. I'm not working right now. So I'll keep it brief, but that's kind of what I was feeling earlier. Didn't know who it
Yeah.
was for.
Yeah, I would do the same thing as a child, get emotional for no apparent reason. And my mom would like be, wait a second, hang on, let's figure out what's going on and what's making you upset. So she would make me actually sit and think about what is actually going on. So I understand that completely.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and for me, and Brittany can attest to this. 10 years ago, I couldn't walk in Walmart store, because everybody's emotions. You got happy people, sad people, and I took Paxil, anti-anxiety medicine, for many, many years, and I ended up Sarah Lamos was the only one that would help me, and to this day, I do not take any anxiety medicine because I've learned how to deal with it myself.
Mhm.
So real quick, let's answer this question. Nancy wants to know, how do you help a child understand the need to self-shield and to seal after experiences?
Great
Well,
question.
I
Right.
think Michael explained a good part of that with talking with Abby a little bit, with just um, protecting yourself and kind of letting it go and figuring out what is you, what is them.
Right.
Um, I think it really kind of depends on the age of the kid. You have to explain it differently to them. I know when I'm dealing with like younger kids, what I usually will tell them, if it's like, let's say it's a little girl, I'll explain to her it's like her going into Cinderella's pumpkin carriage.
Mhm.
And you need to put yourself in the pumpkin carriage because you are a beautiful princess and we don't want anybody seeing you yet.
Yeah.
And that's to keep you safe. So you're putting yourself in Cinderella's pumpkin carriage. Now, if they're older, I just kind of tell them to envision themselves in like a gerbil ball. It depends on
You're
the,
in a bubble.
yeah. And I
You
try
double.
to, Nancy, I mean, like what I try to do is I try to, whatever it is, make it relatable to that kid. Make
Mhm.
it relatable. If they understand it, how they understand it, they will understand the importance of it. They will want to feel it more. If you go and just tell them to white light themselves, they're not going to do it. They're going to be like, okay,
Right.
whatever. You know,
Yeah, what is that?
they don't
Mhm.
understand what that means and what the significance is. Now you can incorporate that wording, white light yourself, later, because once they start developing, they'll understand what you're meaning. But to just tell them how to do it, how it relates to them, and that will help them understand the importance of it.
Yep.
And to seal after experiences, um, what we do is I tell my kids, tell Colin to, when he's in the shower, imagine he's just rinsing off a bunch of dirt and it's just running off of him. Also, what we do is we talk about it. We talk about his experiences. That for him helps him let it out and guard himself up and go on to the new day.
Mhm.
That's
Absolutely.
how we do it.
Yeah.
Michael, do you have suggestions on that as well?
The bubble is perfect because I'll tell you, I haven't been in a Walmart in I don't know how long, because I literally have anxiety attacks. I didn't know what was going
Mhm.
on. I
Yeah.
would walk in and like my heart would start racing. I'm like, I'm gonna have a heart attack. I need to go outside. That, and when I was in the military, I used to do this. That was before I knew I was a medium too, but I just used to like bubble up in a way,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
because I had this very toxic coworker. So it's the same thing. It's with the living
Right.
or the ones that have crossed. And the shower thing, I shower a lot, and I didn't realize why. But then I started to put it together, like that's my way of just getting that ick off of me, if you will.
Yeah.
Right.
So I just imagine like this white light coming out of the shower, and it just getting all the stuff, and it goes down the drain and transmutes, goes where it was, wherever. So
Mhm.
that's kind of what I use too when I feel like I feel off after reading, and that could be from the sitter's energy, whatever. I just need to like just cleanse myself, if you will.
Mhm.
I don't need to do it every time, but I know when I feel like off after a session, like, all right, I got to get this off of me.
Absolutely.
So the
Right.
shower one's a perfect one in the bubble.
Yep.
Those two,
Yep.
yeah.
Absolutely. Aaron,
Now-
do you want to talk maybe a little bit about Colin and his, what he's.
Sure. Real quick, we got to give a shout out to Miss Gracie. Me and Colin do.
Oh, let me go back to that. I can go back.
Gracie.
Let me go back to it here. There we go.
Hi, Miss Gracie. We love you. Colin, say hi.
Hi, Gracie.
Gracie is my dearest friend Danielle's daughter. She is going through some stuff right now. She's working her butt off on getting herself out of that hospital room, and she's doing fantastic. And she has been moving mountains. So we're all thinking about her. So love you.
Hi, Gracie.
See you later.
So, so Colin, I didn't ever tell Colin about my abilities. I kept it to myself because I felt like I was maybe crazy, but I was also learning about them. I just didn't know what to do with them. I'd grown up with these experiences and just was kind of figuring it out. And it wasn't until he came to me when he was about 6 or 7, and he was explaining to me things that I knew were telltale signs. My name's being called. There's someone in my room. I know that they're there. I can tell you what they look like, what they feel like, but I can't see them. Things like that. And he was very, very, very upset about these things. And that was when I kind of went, uh-oh, I guess I should tell him about the family tree. And so we had a conversation about it. And since then, since him knowing that it was normal, that he wasn't crazy, he felt better about it, but he was very scared. So we made a very open conversation about a lot of this stuff. This was when I started going and I was taking classes with Jessica. Several years ago, I started classes with her so I could understand myself, because I can't help myself without knowing about myself, without,
Right.
to help him. So in that way of things, he is a very, very bright light. He has experiences on a daily basis. We happen to live in a paranormally active home to top it off. So he gets visitors a lot. And so we had to have a very open conversation about things. And I had to kind of keep a leash on him at times, but I also had to push him at times, because I also knew that he's the type of kid that he will do it, whether I tell him he can't, don't do this or don't. So I had to at least have a leash on him and know that he was protected.
Right.
So he would just do it. I mean, not really thinking about it, in his mind and everywhere else. So,
Speaking of that, and it's been several years now, and I don't know if you remember, we were out at the ranch
mhm,
and we were sitting at the camper. Do you remember that, Colin?
Yeah, I do.
yeah.
Yeah. And the ranch also has spirits, and Colin read what was out there. He actually, I think you said something about the lady I had actually seen walking behind the event barn, if I remember correctly. Yeah, and you didn't know that I had seen her, which was really cool.
Yeah.
Right.
I remember in the actual moment, I don't really remember what I said at that point in time because I was a little bit younger, but I do remember it being like a learning experience from you guys. So I really appreciate it.
Yeah, it is. It's always a good learning experience. And he's come a long ways. He very much, if things are around him, I'll hear him saying, "Go, get." Like, he has no problems telling stuff to go, which I'm proud of. Like, I get all giddy. I'm like, yeah, you tell them to go. It's not their turn.
Right.
He's very good about that. And he's very good about listening when they need to listen, when you need to listen as well, and giving those messages across when they need to. So, I think it's been an interesting experience for him. It's definitely made me more aware in a lot of ways too, because he is so bright. And I mean, I'm a medium, have been my whole life, and I happen to produce one too, I guess. So
Yeah.
it's just the way it is, and we do our best to help our kids as best as we can, and help them be successful wherever that goes. It doesn't mean he's going to go give readings, but then maybe it does. I don't know, whatever he wants to do with it.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, Brittany, you're up.
Um,
So she actually sees more of the dead, and there was a couple years ago she called me. She was at a restaurant and couldn't even go to the bathroom because of what was in there. So, do you want to talk about your experience when you were young at Patty's?
yeah, my first experience, I was probably 6 or 7. I
Mhm.
a full-bodied man, and he was there and then he was gone. So as like a 6 or 7-year-old, it was very, very traumatizing. So that pretty much shut me off for the rest of my life. So after that, I really just thought, my mom always lived in these scary haunted houses, but now I'm thinking maybe it wasn't the houses.
Yeah,
Hmm.
well,
That's true.
yeah, very true. And then do you want to elaborate on 23?
Yeah, I had a great grandma that I was very, very close to, and she passed away. We actually found her on my birthday, unconscious, and that's May 23rd. And after it took me a year or two to really realize it, but I noticed that I seen 23 everywhere. I'm talking like my gas pump would stop. I would check the time and it would be 23. My totals at Walmart, 23, like 23 everywhere. And then I finally dawned on me like, hey, that's my granny. So that's just my little sign from her.
That's awesome. That's so beautiful. I love it when people have that.
Yeah, yeah. And then she even tattooed it to the back of her ear.
That's not one of hers. I don't remember which one, but
Yeah. So like I said, she's always been scared of it. And I guess you never want your kids to think you're a freak, but they also know what I do, with the ghosts and stuff. So I've tried to talk to her about it and told her, you don't have to do readings, you don't have to do this or that, but you do need to learn to protect yourself. And as she found out, she was blown away by the gallery reading, Erin, with you and Jessica here a couple weeks ago, and so
Called her out.
right, right.
Sorry.
So she's had some come to Jesus moments here in the last couple of weeks, but yeah. So anyway, I think we need to talk to people about like what these kids like. Abby, Brittany, Colin, do you guys, is there certain things that you want to know, that you want to learn, like to either protect yourself or to envelop it more? Is there certain questions that you guys have? We have, perfect people right here to answer all your questions.
I guess her question would be well, we're trying to dig into a program or something that helps these kids, because her abilities are different than mine. I
Yes,
mean,
and that's
some are familiar to to both of us, but then there's a bunch of them that I'm like, I don't even know where to start to help you. I have no idea.
And that's what makes that does make it difficult, because even Colin and I, our abilities are very different. How we see spirit is very different. He is actually more like my father when it comes to seeing spirit. He sees them more like him, but my dad is not, how do I explain it? He doesn't do this.
He doesn't embrace it fully.
He doesn't embrace it. He's supportive, 100% supportive, but does not, he doesn't do any of that. So but I think Michael would probably agree with me on this one too, that I think you have to you might have to go to several different people. I know Jessica is amazing. She is very relatable with kids. as well. And meaning like she can get down to their level. She has kids. She has a child that's sensitive as well. She knows how to talk with them. She's very good. And also Sarah Lemos, Colin really
Sarah
enjoyed
Lemos, yes.
talking with her as well. He really liked her. He liked the way that she did that. I know Cindy Keza gave me some info from names too, so I can always relay those across. She'd given me some names too. But Michael, do you have any suggestions for like with kids and different abilities?
It's funny because I'm picking up on right now, like for Colin to work with Abby.
Mm-hmm.
It just went to a weird screen. I just lost
Yeah,
everybody.
it's just-
I know.
Krista.
All I see is Krista right now.
I have no idea what happened. Seriously. I
Krista, you
don't
pushed
know.
a button.
Well, wave high. You've got
There we
to.
go.
Oh,
Okay.
there's a little
This
bit.
I'm trying to fix it and get it where I'm not the main one here.
There we go.
Well, I
It's
also lost chat. Do you guys see chat?
Yes, I do.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, because I can't. So I got to figure out how to go back. Oh, here it is. Okay. Sorry.
that's
All right.
okay.
I apologize.
Yeah, so as you were talking and you were talking about Abby's abilities and how she's different,
Yes.
there was a connection made between Colin and Abby, and Colin connecting with Abby's guides to work with Abby to help her understand what those abilities are. So that's just something I was picking up on that I wanted to share. You know, I'll give you my perspective and my advice, and I'll try to choose my words carefully because I don't want to give any bad advice. But I would just, now my guides are popping in. I'm like, I'm getting ready to talk, and my mind just went completely blank. I'm like, okay, what? I think they're like, okay, we'll help you with this one because they don't want me just going off on a ramble. So what they're telling me is like, first and foremost, you do not need to be afraid of this. That's the first thing they want you to understand. And I can relate to that. I'll just relay my experience. Okay, just take this for what it's worth. Again, this is me. I got to share this. I'm kind of hesitant too, but I'm going to. For me, I don't give away my power to spirit, right? I don't fear spirit. They have never shown me in any way or given me a reason to fear them. And I know a lot of people fear the unknown, okay? But again, in the time that I've been doing this, I have never once had a negative experience with a spirit. I don't ever consciously protect myself. Maybe it's my attitude that they know I don't give away my power. I'm like, you know, just they know when I'm not working, leave me alone. And my first teacher, and I'll be ever thankful for this, she literally told me, grab a pen and paper and write out your boundaries, what you will accept and what you won't. And she said, get very specific.
Yep.
I have 3 pages of this when and where and everything else. And then again, that's like a contract with them because spirit does, in my opinion, they don't want to intrude on our lives.
Right.
They understand we got stuff to do here. So they respect those boundaries.
Yeah.
But when you don't set boundaries, it's like a kindergarten class. They're going to get it, grab at you, try to get your attention because they want to be heard.
You know, Michael, how when I was learning under Sarah, she called them roamers. So, you know, we had to every day have a notebook with us, and we would allow one at a time to come in, you know, and ask, are you of the light, you know, type thing. And then get their message, write it down. I mean, because like she said, you may not know that person, but 10 years from now, you might cross somebody's path and be like, hey, I have a message for you, you know, from 10 years ago. And then they usually go away, you know, but as you envelop more, your light bulb gets brighter, you know, and so it has more, you know.
And I used to do that with my lives. When I first started out, when I did Facebook Lives and such, I used to think I was, you know, messing up because nobody could make the connection. But then I quickly learned it's like Spirit's going to take the opportunity to come through just to say their message. So I give them opportunity. I don't care if anybody can connect at the time. I deliver the message. I acknowledge them. And someone usually picks up on a replay. They're like, oh, I know that was for my neighbor, for instance.
Yeah.
So I always give them their due. But and I want to share one more thing and then I'll stop talking. But
You're
I just
good.
really, so, again, I've experienced quite a bit of stuff in the years, the short time I've done this. But I know some people hesitate to deal with spirits like murderers and stuff like that. Okay. To me, it's like, and I know that's very extreme, but I will give every spirit that comes through an opportunity to speak. It's not my role to judge them. They
Right.
made their mistakes. They're learning from them.
Mhm.
But I never look at a spirit as a, malevolent one unless they give me a reason to,
Right.
because I get a lot of people that ask me questions. Well, I got this haunting going on in my house and it's evil. I'm like, all right, let's step back. Let's go through this step by step. Why is it evil?
Yep.
What's going on? Well, I'm hearing noises and now things are getting knocked over. I'm like, okay, that's them amping it up because you're not getting the subtle signs like the songs or the symbols. So like, okay, they're going to keep trying until they get your attention. So it's like I quickly just try to educate people on a way of don't automatically assume right off the bat that it's an evil entity. No,
Mhm.
it's probably grandpa saying, hey man, you're not getting anything else. Now I'm just doing these things to get your attention. So for whatever that's worth, I just felt like I needed to share that.
Well, I'll tell you why you needed to share that, because Brittany would see things and she'd be like, it's Granny, isn't it? It's got to be Granny, So I think that was actually meant for her.
Yeah.
And again, I keep an open mind with spirit. I'm like, I
yeah.
just don't automatically jump to they're here to do something, bad. I'm like, they just want their opportunity to be heard. But again, it goes back to setting your boundaries. Once you have them set, it's like I can count on one hand probably 2 times a spirit has come through when I'm at work, and literally it was a life and death situation that was going to happen.
Yeah.
This story still blows my mind, and I'll share it some other time unless we have time later. But it was just,
Yeah.
it was crazy. It was crazy.
I do have a question. It was a text question. Do any of the kids ever smell a sort of spicy smell when they feel the presence?
Smells.
I know there is a lot of times where people will smell.
What about
a
you?
certain
Like
smell.
you? Yeah, I mean, yeah, but what about you? Do you smell something?
I have a lot of smells that I remember back from my childhood when I was like younger, like my memories. I would get a smell like that, or just like something like it's like sometimes I'll get like an earthy smell. It's not like same for everybody. It's so different for a lot of other people, but
Right.
Do you, Abby?
No, because I haven't done a lot of the experience type of things.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
So I don't know.
She doesn't know.
What about you, Brittany? Hello, Brittany. What
I
about
would say
you?
same as Abby. I would say I'm the same as Abby. I really shut myself off.
Gotcha.
So I don't.
But that very well
myself
could
up
just
to
be.
know if I'm from.
But that very well could just be a Claire that's not one of your prevalent ones. That you will get something just like your text that you'd gotten, Krista, about the smell.
Mhm.
Some people will get that, some people won't. And that's why this is so confusing for kids sometimes and adults, because we are not the same. So while some of us might smell something, that's what that means for us, and to accept that that's what that means for you.
Yeah.
But it may not be that for somebody else. Colin may get like an earthy smell or something. That's what I get, but I only get that very rarely.
Yeah.
So, if you get whoever that was that texted you, if that's what you get when you feel like there's a spirit around you, that's probably a sign, and to kind of look at that.
Right. And Anthony, I agree with him there. He says kids are more open. I feel like, especially small kids, it wasn't that long ago, they were on the other side before they were born, so I feel they still have that connection. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and they haven't been, told that this stuff doesn't exist.
Right.
It's not till they start merging into school where they try to fit in and feel normal that it starts to kind of just fade away a little bit.
It starts to fade out, and then sometimes some kids fade out completely and some kids don't. I think all kids are sensitive to a degree
absolutely
from birth to 5 years old.
And whether they choose to embrace it is, which way it goes, for
Mhm.
sure.
And that's
For
a lot
sure.
of stress when you're talking about embracing. I go through this. I'll share real quick that I go through these periods where I just want to walk away and run away and quit and never do this
Mhm.
again. And for me, that's just time to take a break. And I
Right.
used to fight it, but now I'm just like, when I get those feelings, I just stop.
Yeah.
I don't have any guilt about it, because I do sessions for people, and I'm like, I don't feel like I'd be authentic by giving a reading when I know I'm not in the mood for it. I don't want it. My heart's not in it. So, for the kids, anybody, it's like, honor those feelings. When you feel like you need to step away, don't force yourself to go through it. Just stop.
Absolutely.
And my wife tells me this all the time. It's just, and I actually listen. But just because you have this ability doesn't mean you have to do anything with it. It's nobody else's choice but yours. I know a
Right.
lot of people feel guilty about that they suddenly have this ability and they feel they got to share it. It's like, no, you don't.
No.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I think that kids, and maybe I'm wrong on this, but like with my daughter and my grandson, they need to learn some protection and know how, so she's not calling me from a bathroom at a restaurant again because she was scared, So I think kids need that kind of thing.
To shut it down. Absolutely. They need to know how to shut it down.
And
Right.
again, it's about standing in your power. You walk in there and there's people or spirits in there, tell them to get out. I don't want to, I don't know. There's a lot in that, but you got to mean it too. And I won't use the language I use when I'm being annoyed, but it's like, I asked you politely once. Now I'm going to tell you forcefully, get away, go.
Yeah, and that's what Colin has to do a lot of the times. I'll hear him. It makes me laugh. Me, because I have to do the same thing. I'll be in the kitchen and I'll hear him. I said, go away. And I'll look at him and he's like, stuff's bugging me.
Stuff's bugging me. Stop.
And I just have to laugh because I get it, and maybe that's why him and I, like, I'll look at him and I'll smile and I'll giggle and I'll go, good for you. You tell him time to go,
Yeah.
So that's really good
Well,
and that's important.
I do have a question for you, Aaron and Colin. Now, because Colin is more advanced than Abby is, because he has more experience. But have you both seen the same type spirit at the same time
No.
No,
and not realized you did or anything like that? Or are they separate?
not necessarily. Like when we've gone to haunted locations, I've tested him where I'm connecting with the spirit, and then I've asked him to connect as well.
Mhm.
Where then we will do things like that. But just seeing like a spirit in our home, we have not seen one at the same time. But they generally, I notice they overlap very often. I'll see something, and this is more haunting stuff. I'll see something shoot across the floor and I won't say anything. And about 15 minutes later, I hear Colin saying, go away. Like it's stuff like that, maybe. But
Because it's coming.
right. Or he happened to see two spirits of two little boys in our house. And I had connected previously with the house and had written down information, not told him anything about this whatsoever. And we were able to put the pieces together that way, where he saw the kids and gave me the ages. I gave him the names and the locations. And then we went to the cemetery and funeral records and were able to find it. And that's where, because Colin and I are different, but we're the same. Does that make sense? Like,
yeah, because it just shows how you connect with the same spirit, but it's on a different level. It's on a different level.
Just like I've seen things there, and then he's picked up on them, like where he hasn't seen them with his eyes, but he can feel them, and he'll say, "Oh, it's a male. I can feel they're a male." So it just kind of flows back and forth all the time.
That's kind of neat. That's kind of neat. I like that. That would be great for me, I guess, because then her and I could talk about somebody, or
Right. And we kind of started that. I have to say though, real quick, like I don't. I always have to say this real fast. I don't promote 100% people pushing their children into developing. I do want to say that very, very quickly. Kids need to be kids.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's just sometimes though certain kids need that help that will push them a little bit further, but I never push him as far as I will go. I keep it very age appropriate always, but I do want to just kind of tell the public, and I don't think that any of us, we all kind of know that with our kids and stuff, how far to push them. But I just want to tell the public in general that if you have kids that are 5 years old, don't take them to a haunted location and ask them to read ghosts. It's really probably not the greatest idea, especially if they're scared of it. But do teach them about it, but don't ask them to give readings to people and things like that. Like maybe just let them be a kid a little bit and teach them about not being scared of spirit when they approach you.
And see, and that's where I messed up with her. Like my son, he says he can't see anything, and I believe him. I mean, because it seems like on my side of the family, it's been the women, you know. But what's weird is my daughter's son, my grandson, he sees, you know, my grandma. So I don't know. But I do agree. When she was young and had that experience, I didn't know a lot about the paranormal at the time myself. So I didn't know how to help her. And now, you know, she's scared of it, you know, and I've told her, you know, I said, well, you know, you need to learn how to protect yourself, and you can protect Ryder, and you can protect Nathan and your dogs and everybody else in the house. And, you know, so.
Yeah. Well, they say that as a child grows to a certain age, or they have a tendency to just stop seeing or stop hearing. And that with Abby, I was like, well, I'll just wait. And if she continues, you know, hearing and seeing, then we'll go from there. And she did. And she, you know, because she knows what I do. I don't keep that a secret from her, and she's very interested in it. But now it's just like some things are developing more to where she's seeing. What did you tell me?
It's like a shadow figure that's like, it looks like a young man, like in his 20s, just like the way he's built and like how like tall and like not thin, but like he masculine, like very masculine looking.
Also, where have you seen him?
I have seen him at my other grandma's house one time when I was doing laundry, and my grandma is not very like.
She's not into the paranormal. Let's just go that way.
Yeah.
She's not into the paranormal. So she's seen this person.
I've seen him here too.
Here and elsewhere
Everywhere.
too.
It's
So
like following.
This one's following her. So I don't know. There's a backstory. It may be a family member to us. I'm not sure. I'm thinking it is, but she's not scared of it. So
I mean, the first time I saw the figure, I was.
she goes, the first time I was.
I thought like it was like back in like 2020 when you were just like getting into this all paranormal stuff, and like it was just like all new to me. I'm like, am I crazy? So that's why I didn't say anything for like a long time.
And that's and that's why we need to really get this out there, that these kids really need to, you know, get some help, get somebody to talk to, because I'm at a loss, because like I said, her abilities are not like mine.
Yeah. And, you know, fortunately, you guys are young and you have parents that understand what's going on, where, you know, in a sense, I failed Brittany, and she's 27 years old, and now she's talking about taking Jessica's classes, you know.
Oh, you should.
You should. It's never too late. It's never too late.
Yeah.
If anything, it will help you feel more confident in just how to be able to, that you have power over certain things. You have that control, kind of like what Michael was saying, like where you can't take my power. This is my power. You gain that power. I think that is huge. Whatever you do with it, at the end of the day, you get to learn to keep your power. And
Yep.
that's a huge, huge thing. I really think you should do that. I think it would be wonderful.
And Brittany, I just got to share this too for you. I just feel like you, and again, you can tell me if I'm just out there in left field, but I just feel like you're under this pressure that you have to do something with this. Does that, or do you have those feelings like you have to, you're feeling this pressure, like I got to do something with this. I just have to. Again, I just feel the need to share it. It's like, just understand this completely. It's completely up to you, 100%.
Yep.
You know, and whatever level you want to attain, if you just want to learn about it to educate yourself, that's fine. But you're the one that says, no, this is all I want to know, you know, so don't ever
Right.
feel. And then I keep getting this name Evan and somebody that passed from a car accident. When you were talking about the shadow, the 20-year-old man, I just keep feeling like this is a protector, and he passed in a vehicle accident.
It is.
It is. It is absolutely. It absolutely is. This is the first time I'm really discussing this out loud. But my nephew in 2021 in January
Right.
died in a single car accident. He had hit a tree and his vehicle had caught on fire.
Because that's who I was picking up on, and he's protecting you. He wants you to know that.
Wow.
Yeah, he's the one I think is making. We hear him quite a bit in the house. He lived with us during the whole start of COVID and all of that. And that November in 2020, in 2020, him and his dad got their own place, so he had moved out. Well, that was November, and then in January he got in the car accident and passed away. But we still feel him here.
He's talking to me. Someone thinks he's trapped. He wants you to know I'm not trapped. I'm not trapped anywhere.
Okay.
And he wants to be, and this is for the parents too. He wants them to know that he didn't suffer. I know this is probably common, you know, gee whiz, yeah, that makes sense. But he's just reiterating, they need to know I did not suffer.
Wow.
Okay.
What a great message.
That's
Seriously.
Yeah. I'm like, oh, okay. That's that. You
No
know,
crying tonight, Brandy.
I there's no crying on podcasts. You know, that was just, you know, and I just had spoke to my mother earlier, and I said, Mom, I said, I really don't want to talk about Aaron. I said, I'm just not ready for it. You know, I'm still not ready.
Mhm.
And here it is. I said, I could talk about my dad all night, every night, but I said, I'm not ready to talk about Aaron, and here we are. So yeah,
well,
he's got
a good sense of humor, because he's like, well, here I am.
Yeah.
And he's like really happy that he's being acknowledged. Not that he hasn't been in the past, but he's like a perfect stranger. That's who they needed to hear from. So
Well, we talk to him all the time. He, you know.
Well, I think he was talking about like me being the perfect stranger, not knowing anything about anything. And it's just
laid it over.
Right.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
crazy. Wow.
Yeah. What a great
Woo.
message.
That's wonderful.
Okay, talk to somebody else now. I'm done talking
that's-
for a minute.
You know what's wonderful though is to know that, and I think for people also to realize is that when our kids are seeing people, it helps them realize that it's not somebody scary. It could be that family member that your mom loved dearly or your dad loved dearly and lost. You may not know them, or you may know them, or you think you might know them. It's reminding us that these were people. They were mothers, they were fathers, they were brothers, sisters, sons, daughters, all that. And they were loved at one point, no matter if they were jerks or not. Somebody loved them.
Right.
He's killing me because he's like, yeah, I could be a jerk.
Right? So, you know, I think it helps kids realize that these are not, you know, it's not as scary as you might think. And Brittany, I think that's a good thing for you to look at as well, is that when you see things as scary as they're presenting themselves sometimes, is to remind you that they were somebody's mother, father, all that stuff. And they're presenting themselves in the most drastic way, maybe to get your attention, to get the point across as fast as they can, because they know you're going to turn around and run out. They're trying to be the shock factor.
Right.
He wants one more thing because he's like, Abby, do you work with auras? Because he's saying something like he's going to teach you to work with auras, like seeing
Wow.
auras.
Huh.
So I'll just leave that with you.
All right. Well, see,
Very
that'd
cool.
be totally new for me too. I can't
Like,
help you. I'm
well,
sorry.
Did you
But
say
that would be neat.
or orbs?
Auras.
Auras.
I
Auras.
was picking up on that on her earlier. I was like, God, I swear she could probably see auras. I think she could see auras. I was
Yep.
picking up on that earlier from her.
Well, we're probably going to have to get her in touch with somebody that's really good with auras and see.
Jessica can teach her that. I can teach her that too. I've done aura readings. I do aura readings.
Mm-hmm.
That's
So,
pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
Oh, I know. Please.
This is awesome. Nancy says the boy's guardian is an Aztec warrior. The young lady's is an Irish cook. They all three have several guardians. So
I believe that. Yep. I
Mhm.
believe
Yeah.
they
yeah.
all get lots of guardians, people looking after them. So
Yeah.
Colin, why don't you real quick, why don't you tell people one of the strangest experiences
Okay.
doing this stuff.
No.
Abby, you're good. Don't worry.
It's all good, sweetie.
We're just all tears over here. Just don't mind us. No.
But they're happy tears, I hope.
Yeah, they're happy.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's one of the weirdest things that you have experienced that maybe another kid might relate to that they don't need to know?
Shoot. Okay. There's a lot of them, so I gotta figure this out.
A lot.
Should I talk about the one like particular?
Yeah, sure.
Well, I remember this goes back to when my mom was talking about the two kids experience. I was sleeping on the couch because I didn't feel like going up to my room, because I was just, it's the couch, And I was sleeping on the couch and I woke up around 2 or 3 in the morning, just randomly. And a lot of the time, if I have an experience, I'll wake up just suddenly, not because something is bothering me, but I'll wake up and then I'll see something but I remember when I woke up, I saw 2 kids and they were a bright white. They weren't really like scary, but in the moment it was scary because, yeah.
You're not supposed to be here.
But
I call it startled me.
Yeah.
It scared me, but it didn't scare me.
It startled me.
Right.
Yeah, but
And then what did you do? You told them to.
I told them to go away.
And then what did you do?
Then I
hid under the covers.
Yep.
I don't blame you. I do that too.
I still do that.
And then I moved back under.
And you said, "Go away," and you went back under.
Yep.
I still hide under my covers. I still do.
I remember, Aaron, when you told me about that, when that happened.
Yeah. He told me,
Yeah.
and I think that's what makes it kind of, we're laughing, we're being lighthearted about it because I think we all can relate to that. I think every kid can relate to, you see it, you tell it to go away, you hide under the covers and you peek and you see it again, you say, go away, and you hide again. I mean, that's very normal for kids.
Yeah, I do remember going around the stairway, going through the kitchen, and then
To get
the
to my
dining
room.
to my mom's room.
To
Just turning
avoid
on
it.
all the lights from there. So
Running through, turning on every light, and make it the long way through to get to my room to pound on my door and tell me there's people in the living room. And I went, what? And so I jumped up and I thought, God, I gotta get my gun or something. I don't know. I didn't think ghosts, and
yeah.
And
it's very important to take that initiative of telling them to go away. It's really helped me a lot in a lot of sage and burning sage and protection spray. It helps giving that clear of mind that because it does help, and but you can't just tell them to go away and expect them to leave. You have to make a deal with them.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, it's not like you have to say like you'll talk to them at another time, not at that moment, you know.
Mhm.
So you'll tell them to go away, and then they'll leave you alone depending on the spirit. But
And what if they don't leave you alone? What have you done when they don't?
you tell them.
Or-
Yes.
yes.
Absolutely.
Send them to your mom's room. Just say, "Hey, my mom loves talking to
My
you guys."
mom loves coming all the time at night.
I see my mom.
My mom. She's not busy.
So, Brittany, are you getting any tips here?
Yeah, for sure.
Just tell them to go
Awfully
away.
quiet, and you're not usually this quiet.
Soaking it in.
You know, I think for Brittany, it's good for her to hear so many experiences. And I think that the next time we have her on, she'll have a lot more to say. I think she's soaking it in right now, and she's going, okay, I'm not alone. I relate to this, and she's going to figure out her own words and her own path in a lot of ways.
She's going to find her voice is what's going to happen.
She'll find her voice on it, and she'll be a very good voice for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I throw something else out there? Because
Absolutely.
what was his name again? Aaron?
Aaron.
So he keeps showing me these dice. Is there anything significant with dice? Because he keeps showing me dice. And if it doesn't make sense now, that's fine. I just had, because he's showing it to me over and over. He's like showing me. And it's actually now it's getting more clear. It's like fuzzy dice. So I don't know. I'll leave that with you, but I don't know.
That might mean something more for his dad than me.
Okay, because he keeps showing me the dice. And when you
I'll
said-
ask him about it.
Yeah.
Wow. Very cool. Very cool. Are you Michael, when you do the readings, do you do, like, do you do galleries or do you do one?
Yeah, I do everything.
Yeah.
I actually prefer doing galleries. I love big groups.
Okay.
But yeah, I pretty much do everything. I just didn't. If I had a preference, though, I enjoy the groups the most.
Yeah. What state are you in?
I'm in North Dakota.
North Dakota. Okay.
Yeah. I was originally from New York, but then after I was done with my military time, 20 years, I stayed up here.
Oh,
So,
very cool. Very
yeah.
cool.
And then the ghosts started showing up, and then, well, it's like,
Yeah,
all right.
we can all relate to that. And I've learned. What do you guys? Any of you kids? What do you think about signs? Like you see, like Brittany, you had the 23, or different numbers, or songs, or birds, or things like that. Have you guys noticed anything like that?
Sort of, but not really, because like when I see like signs of like a loved one I've like lost in the past, like my grandpa or something, of something he really enjoyed, I won't be freaked out, but I'll just be like shocked and like, because it like pops up like everywhere.
Right. I get it. Colin, what about you?
I will feel it, like if it's a sign. It's more of like, I don't know how to explain the sign necessarily, but it's like it just makes you feel like you can feel like if there's something. And I've experienced that since I was like young, you know what I mean? Like you'll feel it, and like you'll look behind you and there's nothing there, But then I remember telling my mom all the time, like, I keep feeling like there's something watching me, And she's like, yeah. And then we talk about that sort of stuff, and
Right.
it's more of like you can't really like, I don't know, you can't really explain the fact about that.
It's hard to explain people how you experience spirit, because I still people ask, well, how do you do it? What's it like? And I'm like, it's like telling somebody, describe how is it that you breathe? It's like it's part of who you are. So it's kind of hard to put in words, like, how do you do what you do? And it's like, oh my God, I don't think about it anymore. So it's even harder.
Right.
Yeah.
It is difficult.
Yeah, for sure.
But the anxiety, that's what I feel when spirit shows up. I get the butterflies in my stomach, and that's how I know they're there with me.
Yes.
It's like, I'll feel it. It's like, all right, somebody's here.
Right.
That's what Abby said. Abby said she gets anxiety.
Yeah.
Yes, that's.
But it's a good thing. It's like and again, it's all learning, because before I thought it was an anxiety attack, but now I know the difference. It's like, okay, especially
Yeah.
like the night or two before I do a gallery reading, they start visiting. And I'm like, why is my stomach turning upside down? I'm like, I just feel all this
Right.
energy. And I'm like, oh, it's them. I'm like, all right, dude, you got 2 days. Not now. Go away.
Yeah. Nancy has a question for the kids. Do any of you guys have dreams of past lives?
Yes.
You do?
Yes.
I didn't know this.
Definitely.
I get to
yes.
hear something new.
I have a lot of dreams about experiences, and I'll have them not just dreams you'll know, you know.
Well, I know you've talked about almost like a lucid dreaming.
Yeah, well,
effect.
I got into lucid dreaming, and I kind of regret it now, because lucid dreaming is like when you are more like awake. It's making your mind more awake to like it's but you feel like it's like you're in the dream, you know.
Mhm.
And after doing that and being so visual with my dreams, it kind of comes to a downside when I do experience those types of past lives and stuff in my dreams, because
Mhm.
it is very, very scary when it comes up to that point in time.
So, what have you had a past life dream about?
Oh, you didn't?
No, I've never known this. I'm asking you a question now.
Exactly. Tell me about it. We're listening.
No.
Okay. I felt I remember one time where I was in my past life I was a singer.
That doesn't surprise me.
Like a musician, you know, and I remember it because he had a very, very hard like life, you know, and I just don't know, like, and his parents didn't accept him, and it was just like a bunch of weird stuff, you know.
What
But,
year
like,
was it?
shoot, I think it was the 60s or 70s,
Okay.
like something like that.
Wow.
Do you know how you died?
Yeah, overdose.
Wow. I keep seeing Jim Morrison over and over and over.
Right? Like it's that sort of thing, right? Yeah.
Wow. Maybe you are Jim Morrison reincarnated. How cool is
Well,
that? He has no idea probably who Jim Morrison is.
No.
Man, I'm getting all kinds of stuff now when you started talking about it. Can I share something really quick?
Yes.
Yes.
So with the acceptance, when you that was like a karmic thing from your past life that you're learning now. You said you weren't accepted before, but now look what you're doing. Look at the abilities you have, and look at your parents. They support you. So it's almost like that karma.
Yep.
You didn't experience it in that previous life.
Mhm.
Now you know what it's like to have that acceptance.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it's
I appreciate my mom for doing all that stuff for me when I did it. Because I remember if my mom wasn't up to the point in time of like helping me out with this stuff, I would be very scared. Because
Yeah,
I've had a lot
I've-
of experiences, and without my mom, I think I would not go insane. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Right.
And that's
Right.
good that you're out there doing this, because it's going to help other people, the
Mhm.
kids that don't have that support and think they're alone.
Yeah.
And I keep going back to that series that Chip Coffey used to do about psychic kids.
Yes. What a beautiful show.
That's a good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a good show.
Yeah.
It's very
So I
good.
mean, you guys are going to help a lot of people that are in the same position
Mhm.
and aren't
Yep.
as fortunate.
Absolutely.
Thank
Absolutely.
you. Yes.
Colin, real quick, can you and maybe Michael, you can help elaborate on this. So Colin finds rose quartz all over his
gosh.
yard. He is the only one that finds them, and honestly, I don't have an answer for that.
Yeah. So really, truly,
Like big pieces.
is-
Like he gave me big
this is the
pieces.
weirdest darn thing I've ever seen. I haven't.
Well, it's right when I get this, okay, because I connect to the angelic realm, and it's weird that one of the things that I complain about is I never know because I don't feel it. And as soon as you started talking about that, I feel it, because I'm like, I just got so light, but
Yeah.
it's like there's an angelic connection with him and these crystals. So there's some, I don't know completely. It would take me a while to figure this out. But initially, that's what I'm feeling. It's like there's something about your connection to the angelic realm. And those crystals are some kind of like, they just help that connection.
I think
If that
that's
makes sense.
true. I think that they find him. I think that
Yeah.
something puts them there so he finds them, because we have like 4 or 5 acres, and throughout our property, Colin is the only one that will find pieces of rose quartz. I'm not joking, are this big. And then he'll
No,
find like small
I
pieces.
can attest because Colin gave me a piece that's huge. I've got it sitting up in my window.
And not just like 1 or 2 or 3 pieces. I'm talking probably 20 something pieces
Mhm.
over the years.
Huh.
And even in places where he will go to the same spot, he's drawn to a spot. Is kind of how he explains
Like
it.
I will be in my room, and then I'll be like, I have to take out the trash, like
Like you do when you're 13.
because that's a regular thing that I would think about, right? And I feel it, and then I go down there. And the weird thing is the amount of pieces I have. If they all accumulated, they would be a large. They would take up a large space, But and I've also noticed every time it rains, I get a new piece.
Wow.
Wow.
Huge pieces. It's just, and it's not, Anna's saying on the chat, it's not common for this area. It's not just something that's just naturally growing. He finds them in the oddest places. We have we built an outdoor riding arena. And when they build an outdoor riding arena, they have to dig underneath, and then they put the rock in, and they have to layer it, and then put the sand on the top. He went out there in the outdoor riding arena and found a piece of rose quartz. That stuff got all dug out and got put new. I mean, I don't know how.
Right.
It's just, it's bizarre. It's not bizarre. It's amazing.
Yeah.
I don't
Absolutely.
understand.
All right, Colin, you got to focus. We need diamonds. So get in there and focus. We need diamonds.
Gold. Where's the gold?
Yeah, we'll take that too.
Absolutely. So I have another question via text. Do any dogs act weird when spirits are in a house?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
My dog, when I would be sleeping, my dog will get up and like he'll spin around on my bed and he'll look at just like somewhere random. Then he'll jump off the bed and start sniffing around the room, and then like.
And sometimes he'll almost like stand over him, like over his legs, and look across, like almost like he's protecting him. He's done that a lot too. Animals.
Yeah, cats do the same thing. Cats do the same thing. Abby's cat comes into my room and she's always looking at one direct corner in my room every time, just the same corner.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, they know.
My cat freaks me out. I don't get freaked out often, but if like I'll get up to get a drink in the middle of the night, my cat will just be staring off at a cabinet in the opposite direction. I'm like, I just try to ignore him, get my drink, because I get the full body chills. I'm like, no, not now, not now. And he will not. I'm
just
like,
getting a
no,
drink.
no,
Just
no,
Not yet. No.
Don't let me interrupt. I'm just grabbing a drink, going back to bed. Nope.
Exactly. I'm not up yet. You don't see my eyes open. Nope.
Brittany, you have dogs. Do you notice that they act a little more on the odd side when you have things in your home, or when you feel like you have spirit around you?
Yeah, for sure. My one, the other one's really lazy and doesn't get off the couch, but I have one that's definitely picks up stuff. But that also, Mom, I don't know if you remember down when we lived in Thayer and I was sleeping and we had this dog named Diesel. And that was another experience I had. Diesel like was growling at the door and like, once again, traumatized, so, but yeah, he definitely picked up on something.
Yeah. And Diesel was a friendly dog. He loved everybody. He didn't growl, Actually, Aaron, I think you've met Diesel.
Oh yeah, I've met
Yes.
Diesel. Yeah,
Yeah, you guys met Diesel. So I mean, he was not an aggressive dog. So yeah, it's true. Yeah, like I said, she sees the dead people,
Right, and that can be scary when you see the
Right.
I get it.
Yeah.
So Abby, do you have any questions for like even for Colin or any of us that you want to know that might help you, or something that maybe you want to share that might help somebody else?
I think that the question she may ask will be for you two in private.
That's totally fine. We'd love to have that.
Mhm.
Brittany,
Yeah.
what about you?
No, I think I'm still soaking it all in and
Yeah.
not crazy.
Nobody's nuts here.
All right, Brittany,
But
next time,
I am like full.
full on interview.
Oh goodness.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're doing a whole
Michael, do you have
podcast
any
on
words
it.
of wisdom for these kids and any other kids or parents out there that are going through this?
Well, for the parents, I think it's just important that, you support your children, whether you believe it or not,
Mhm,
and if you can't help them, maybe make an effort to try to find somebody who can.
mhm.
And for the kids, going through this, even adults, I mean, again, I was 45 before this really kicked in. I mean, yeah, I read about medium, so I was educated on it, but what I've learned is to just stay true to yourself. And again, I said this earlier, but just don't try to be like anybody else.
Mhm.
There's a lot of people that try to do that and it discourages them because they get that feeling that, well, I'm not as good as that person. I shouldn't be doing this work. I mean, I go through that. We all do. It's just human nature to compare
Mhm.
yourself.
Yeah.
But, I just keep coming back to, I got to do what I do. The way you connect is the way you connect. It's going to be different from everybody. And just learn to work with the abilities you have. Different abilities will come to you at different points.
Mhm.
Don't ever think you're going to get to a point it's going to make sense. I'll tell you, because for me, every time I get comfortable, spirit changes it up
Yep.
because they want to push us to understand
Yeah.
that you're not just a psychic, you're not just a medium. Those are just made up human words.
Mhm.
We're spirit, right? This is a part of who we are. It's just a matter of remembering that this is who we are. This is our natural
Yeah.
being. So nothing's beyond our grasp. Don't ever say that I can't do that or that's not possible, because things are going to come to you and you're going to be like, wow, I didn't know I could do that. Just let it happen. Don't try to force it. Just let it happen.
Right. Absolutely.
I have to
Absolutely.
agree. And, and I have to say too, for Michael, we don't see as many males sometimes coming out as mediums and
Mhm.
psychics.
True.
And I have to say to you that I really appreciate you going
Absolutely.
forward with this, because I think that helps young men like my son know that it does not it doesn't matter who you are.
Mm-hmm.
It can hit you whether you're male, female, whatever you are.
Yeah.
That this is just a thing that happens to people, not women, not men, just people.
Right.
And I just really appreciate you being on here tonight and him being able to see, because you are the first male he's talked to.
Oh, wow.
So I think that that's very important for him to see that, there are men out there too. I mean, now my father, his grandfather is a medium as well, but we do.
Right.
It's the thing in the family you don't discuss, but we all know.
And it's funny, I was going to bring that up earlier because I felt like I needed to say that, but I'm glad you said that there's a lot of men, and I'll tell you, I'll share this really quick. So this has been an interest, or for me for 25 plus years. The first time I seen John Edward on TV in the 2000, that was my first introduction to mediums, and it's something peaked, and I remember this. I'll never forget this. I had this thought in my mind way back then. I said, wouldn't it be something to be able to deliver a message to somebody that has crossed? And it's like, wow, here I am, decades later, and it's like I'm doing this work. It's like weird.
Right.
But I got this something that highlighted it for me. I got he had a CD set of like 6 discs to learn how to develop your ability.
Mhm.
And he got to this point where he said, all right, you're going to have to become like sensitive. So you may start crying and you may become, overly sensitive. And I'll tell you right there, that shut me right down. I'm like, I'm not going to be that person. I'm not that person.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So years later, and I'm glad I was 45 when this happened, because I already knew who I was. I had been through my military career. I didn't care what other people thought, so for me, it was like, no, this is a part of who I am now.
Right.
I don't scream it from the rooftops, but this is who I am. And
Absolutely.
I don't care what other people think.
Yeah,
And
you're gonna have to come. You're gonna have to come back on because I have a million questions for you.
Yeah, for
I'd
sure.
absolutely love to.
Like, you just keep talking, and there's another question and another question.
But I'll just say this, it is. I see, and there's a lot of men that think that, like I did, that you're gonna have to become this super sensitive person
Right.
and
right.
become vegan, and I'm like, I drink beer, I eat meat, I cuss like a sailor. I told this to Spirit, I'm like, you got to remember, you picked me. You know what you got yourself into. You picked me.
I love
Right.
that.
Right.
Don't try to change me. I am me.
I didn't invite you.
Yep, absolutely. No, I definitely appreciate you coming on here. And Michael, I have been sharing your website as well as
Well,
your
thank you.
Facebook page. So everybody, please go and to his Facebook page and give him a like, join his group. And we have
Yes.
asked him to come back and do some readings, for the viewers and stuff. And he has agreed to that in the future. So Erin's goal, and I agree with her, she, every month or two, get on and do something like that. So
Yeah, for kids and parents, I think this would be great. And I know Mark has a question. He wanted
Sure.
to. Am I turning the right way? Yes, I am.
As much as I love the kids, I have a question for Michael.
Oh.
Has anybody ever told you you look like Jason Hawes?
Yes.
I'm sorry. That was
No, I have. I'm like,
oh my gosh. That was all I had. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. Someone said that once, and I didn't. It was like I was invited to join this other group to do a live broadcast on, and someone said, "When did Jason Hawes join the group?" And I'm looking through the chat. I'm like, "Jason's here, Jason's here," and I'm like, I didn't know they were talking about me. I'm like, oh.
That's funny. There's Mark's words of wisdom.
That's all I had.
That's
Sorry.
all I had.
It was really bothering me.
right.
It's the hairline, right?
All right. We'll move back to me and Colin.
That's hilarious.
And this is not a dye. I'm 53, but it is naturally black. I wish I had hair here, but it only grows here now.
It just migrated. Moved all downward. So did my boobs. Exactly.
Gravity.
Sorry, Heavy. Never mind.
So real quick, I want to talk about some upcoming shows that we have coming up on October 13th, next Thursday. We have Terry and Holly. They are friends of ours, and they are coming on to talk about different haunted locations that they've been to around the United States, as well as Brandy, because Brandy does a lot of trips with them. And then on October 18th, I believe it's a Tuesday, we have Jeremy Leonard, the Cajun demonologist. So we're going to touch a little bit on the dark side on that one. And then November 10th, we have Nick Valente. He is a Dogman cryptid researcher, and that's going to be co-hosted with D.A. Roberts. And then on December 8th, we have Bigfoot Michigan Rob, and the co-host will be Daryl Denton. And then we have October 17th, the three of us are doing Texas Front Porch. So you guys will have to check them all out. So we definitely everybody coming. There's a couple others in there yet, but I haven't gotten confirmation from Erin yet on dates. So
yeah, I'm like, there's a bunch more in there. That's just what we know for sure.
Right now, Erin is too scattered and all over the place right now.
Right.
We just tell her where to be.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
I know Michael can relate. He's laughing. He's like, kind of like, yeah, just go.
Right.
Again, I want to thank everybody for like all the kids.
Absolutely.
Brittany and Abby and Colin, you guys, you're amazing. And you are what is going to make this world so much easier to live in and easier for other people. And, and just, you're going to be sharing a lot of really important information with people, whether that's people within yourself or people outside.
Mm-hmm.
And I just want to tell you guys, thank you so much for being on here. It is extremely brave I did not do this when I was your age, nor would I have thought of doing it when I was 30 years old. So you guys being here tonight is extremely brave and is a wonderful step forward to discovering yourself. And I want to thank you guys and tell you guys how proud of you I am. And Michael, thank you so much. You're amazing as always.
You are amazing,
Your
Michael.
story
Absolutely.
and you just
Absolutely.
Thank you.
and you talking to these kids, that means so much to me. Talking to all the other kids listening and parents, it means so much to me. Thank you so much.
No,
Yes.
thank you. This is what I needed. I've been in this funk for 3 months where I was seriously thinking of running away. And my wife tonight, she said, again, I said this earlier, but she's like, maybe this is a spark you needed to get you back into it.
Yeah.
And I think
Yeah.
it is.
A real good feel good, like helping those kids and helping the parents and getting this word out. And we would love to have you again when we have more kids on here, because I think that the more mediums that have a good influence on these kids' lives and these parents, I think the better for our future and for these kids to grow up in a better environment for themselves.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
So we'd love to have you again.
Thank you. Yes. Anytime.
Yes. Wonderful. I'm so glad.
Yes.
Well,
for sure.
ladies, should we be wrapping it up?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you, everybody, for tuning in tonight. We definitely appreciate it. And catch us next Thursday, talking about different haunted locations. And
Yep.
we're out. Have a good night, everybody.
Colin, give your peace out.
No.
Abby, come on. Brittany, yes. Say goodbye. Do your little sign.
Bye.
Bye.
Guys. Thank you.
Okay. Hold